There is breaking news in Baltimore, where on the same day Obama administration officials met with the mayor, Charm City appears to be turning into the Wild West. Nearly 24 people shot over the last 24 hours, and sources inside the Baltimore PD telling the Kelly File this is not getting better anytime soon. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. We have three major developments tonight on the mess in Baltimore. The head of the DOJ Civil Rights Division making some controversial remarks involving cops and a history of racism. The Baltimore prosecutor, seeing her case against three of the officers begin to crumble, is now changing her story, and all in a city where crime is now exploding. In the last month, since charges were filed against 6 police officers for the death of a 25-year-old black man, Freddy Gray, homicides in Baltimore have spiked 40% compared to the same period last year. Non-fatal shootings are up 60%. The Western District of the city where the riots took place has seen 22 homicides in just the last 4 months. That's more than the entirety of last year. And just today, 5 more people were shot in a broad daylight gun battle ranging over a half-mile down residential streets. All of this happens as arrests are now down by 32%. And police reps say the rank and file feel alienated by this prosecutor and are concerned about doing their jobs. Mark Furman is a Fox News contributor and a former LAPD homicide detective. Mark, it's good to see you. And so the mayor comes out and says, no, this isn't the case. The cops are not holding back. And the police officially came out and said, no, they're not. They're not. And yet these numbers seem to tell a different story.
Well, Megyn, they're not holding back. What they're doing is being very cautious about following all the rules. They know that nobody's got their back in the city government. Their own police chief's going to throw them under the bus. So they're doing everything by the book. They're answering the radio calls, and they're making no proactive stops. They're not getting out and shaking people down, wondering what people are doing, searching people, looking for guns, drugs. They're basically just answering the calls to service, making sure nobody gets killed and taking care of their fellow officers. And this is exactly what the city government gets. They're going to get a police department that answers the cat in the tree call, and that's it.
We have a police department that does not believe its commissioner has stood by it. We've heard that directly from the cops. The mayor threw them under the bus. The mayor invited the DOJ to come and investigate an alleged presence of discrimination and racism. The DOJ was only too happy to do it, and we'll talk in our next blocks about what the DOJ said about Baltimore cops today. And on top of all that, the NAACP steps in to stoke the fires. And in an editorial in the Baltimore Sun today, they outline how they believe the NAACP accused the cops of being, quote, borderline racist. And let me show the viewers and you, Mark, what the NAACP writes to the cops representative. They say, we were disturbed by your use of language describing these frustrated young citizens as a lynch mob, referring to the rioters. You, police representative, then decided to defend those 6 officers by all but attacking DA Marilyn Mosby, a young African-American mother of 2. And it bothers us greatly to have the integrity of these strong African-American female leaders questioned by someone who is pushing a personal agenda in the face of clear injustice. This is the cop representative, they say, is doing that, regardless of the possible irreparable harm it may have on our city. So the cop rep should not fight back because the mayor and the DA are African-American females.
Well, Megyn, when you look at this, Mosby made a statement that this is our time when she indicted those 6 officers. She drew a line in the sand, and she drew a wedge between the police, the city government, and her office that you're never going to repair. They're not going to be able to go back on this, and the police are going to simply do what the police do. They're going to take care of their own. They're going to take care of those good citizens that are in trouble. And you can't do anything about what you don't see. If you're not there to see it, you're not there to see it. And there is no city official that can control an officer and his partner when they get on that car. When they get in that car, the world is theirs. What they decide to do and what they decide not to do is up to them, not their sergeant, lieutenant, their chief, the mayor, or the city councilman.
They now need to worry, potentially, about making a mistake and getting charged with false arrest, false imprisonment, and the loss of their freedom. How does this end? Because we're already hearing from some of our Baltimore police officer sources that they're looking to leave this police force.
Well, that's what's going to happen. The only people you're going to have left are the people that are either going to do nothing and just agree with the administration, or they're going to leave the department. Officers are going to actually find better places to go that actually have respect for them and actually back them when they actually do lawful arrests and make, lawful, actually do their job. But Megan, you have to see what's going on here. You have two dynamics. You have the city administration and every government official in Baltimore trying to get police scalps. They're not throwing them under the bus. They're trying to get scalps. Now, while that's going on, all the gang members, all the drug dealers, all the two-bit criminals, all the wannabes, it's vacation. They know they'll be able to take advantage of the police not wanting to be in the area because they are the target of these gang members and all these drug dealers. So they're also the target of their own administration. So they're going to pull back, they're going to do their job, and they're going to stay out of trouble.
Wow. Meantime, this DA, she sits down with Vogue magazine for a profile interview while the city is awash in homicides that she should be pursuing. Mark, thank you. We are also getting new video today of some of Freddy Gray's final moments. It shows one of the many stops made while he was in the back of that police van. And it comes as we hear a significant change in the prosecution's theory of this case against the cops. Recall at first the DA, Marilyn Mosby, said the cops charged with false arrest had claimed that Freddy Gray was carrying an illegal knife. She came out and stated publicly that knife was not illegal, and she was charging those cops with false arrest and false imprisonment. Faced then with demands by defense attorneys that she produce Freddy's knife, which they said, in fact, was illegal, she has suddenly done an about-face. And Ms. Mosby is now claiming that her case against the arresting officers has nothing to do with the knife found on Freddy Gray and everything to do with what they call the, quote, fact that Freddy was arrested before the knife was found and examined. Andel Brown is a civil rights attorney. Mark Eiglarsh is a criminal defense attorney and a former prosecutor. And so they were out there jumping up and down saying, give us the knife. Let us inspect the knife. The knife is illegal. The arrest was valid. And now she comes out and says, knife has nothing to do with it, Mark.
Yeah. Further reasons why I feel she's being intellectually dishonest with all of us. Today was apparently a rally called Hold Police Accountable Rally. I say let's hold this prosecutor accountable and let's have a rally because she's arresting officers for, at worst, making a mistake. See, if it's not about the knife, then it's about them putting handcuffs on prematurely and rushing to judgment. That happens every single day, every street. Megan, there's the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine. We all first-year law students learn about it. Back in 1920, the U.S. Supreme Court discussed it. What happens when an arrest is unlawful? The evidence is simply suppressed. It's thrown out of court, and everybody goes on. Nowhere in there does the Supreme Court say, strip the officers of their liberty and leave them out on the streets.
Right.
It doesn't happen.
What about it, Andel? Because now she says she's the one who mentioned the knife and its alleged legality when she announced the charges against the cops. Now, oh, Mark's gone. Now that they say produce it, let us see it. We think it was illegal. She says, what? Knife? I was just talking about the chase prior to them finding that knife.
Megan, the defense assertion that this is all about the knife and whether it's legal or illegal is nothing more than good old-fashioned sleight of the hand. Look over here at the knife, not Freddy Gray's severed neck by 80%, not the fact that he died in one of the most painful ways.
No, we're not there yet, though. We're talking about the false arrest and false imprisonment.
The charges are not about the knife. There are charges that they face 30
So that's a straw
years
man.
for.
Let's not talk about that yet. That's a different part of the case. We're talking about false arrest and false imprisonment, which does have to do with whether the arrest in the first instance was valid or not, or was based on probable cause or not.
Absolutely. And the initial facts that are relied upon for the arrest, which is looking at the officers according to their reports and then fleeing, are the basis for the arrest. The knife was something they found after.
But you tell me, Mark.
Come on, Andel, you know better.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want you to ask Andel and let him be honest here. How many times have you seen officers who make an arrest short of probable cause ever get stripped of their liberty and thrown into jail for that mistake? Be honest, Andel. How many times have you ever seen that in your law practice? Never.
And Mark, what I'd like to ask you is to be honest about the fact that these people are not arrested for making a mistake. They're arrested for their choice to leave Freddie Gray begging for medical attention in the back of the van.
That's a different charge. That's a different element of the charge.
And not helping him.
We're not doing that tonight.
Those are all the charges. You can't pick and choose.
No, we can debate that another night.
Megan, tell me to get back on track.
No, because tonight we're talking about false imprisonment and false arrest.
That's
and
right.
Andel, as you well know, and this is outlined tonight, police are allowed to briefly detain a person based on reasonable suspicion.
Absolutely.
If they see him fleeing in a high crime area. And that's exactly what everyone says happened in this case, everyone on both sides. So they were allowed to detain Freddie Gray, and they were allowed to put him in handcuffs, and they were allowed to search him. And when they found what they said was an illegal knife, they were allowed to arrest him. It very much has to do with whether the knife was illegal or not.
If we want to focus on only the knife and none of the other charges, fine. The Mobley case out of Chicago said that an officer can stop someone in a high crime area for fleeing, but that case is easily distinguishable from what we have here, because in that case, the person fleeing had a bag in their hand. In a high crime area such as the one in Baltimore where Freddie Gray was, people know that the stash boy takes off and runs, and the officers have to stop them from trying to get rid of evidence. That is not the case here. That stop was illegal. Anything after it, as Mark said, is fruit of the poisonous tree. The arrest was illegal. It started wrong, and it ended up with Freddie Gray dead.
I don't know, guys. I'll tell you right now, that false arrest charge and that false imprisonment charge are falling apart. That's my legal opinion. I'll steal the last word. Thank you both for being here. Well, also joining us on a packed show tonight, Donald Trump, Dana Perino, and Michelle Malkin. Michelle is up next on why she thinks the head of the DOJ's Civil Rights Division just poured new gasoline on the troubles in Baltimore, Ferguson, and beyond. Wait till you hear what she said. Plus, Michelle will weigh in on the recent remarks on race from First Lady Michelle Obama. There's another thing I want to talk to you about, and that is the First Lady, who came out and gave a very controversial speech last weekend at Tuskegee University. You wrote a column rejecting it outright. Why?